So, as you guys are aware, we're doing things a little different this week, and you're going to be seeing me and Miss Davis teaching, but both of us will be involved in both classes. So, hello to everyone else's classes, and hello to my students. Today, we are going to be doing figurative language. Now, what this is this is going to help us build into poetry, which is what Wednesdays are going to be dedicated to. So every single week, we're going to be doing something with poetry and how to read and interpret it so that when you guys are looking at a poem, you will be able to figure out what it means. The first step to doing that is to understand what figurative language is and how it is used. So let's go ahead and look at some figurative language. I have included the objective because I like to make sure that it's there. So it says, today I will learn about different types of figurative language and how to interpret what they mean. I will know that I have it when I can see the poetic elements in use and I can correctly determine their meaning. So it's not just identifying that's a simile, that's a metaphor. It's what does that simile mean? What does that metaphor mean? You have to know those things. So, figurative language is a non-literal use of language. It says one thing but means another. And when you say something, it's not true. Like it's literally not true. Because literal means really, right? Figurative language. Literally, words function exactly as defined. So, the car is blue. He caught the football. Nothing is different. Everything means exactly what they're saying. Figuratively, you have to figure out what it means. I've got your back. You're a doll. I can't literally have your back unless I reach inside of you and take your spine out, which is utterly disgusting and not something I would do. And then somebody can't be a doll unless you were talking to a doll. And that's a whole different thing. So, simile, a comparison using like or as. Now, this is a comparison of two things using like or as very specifically. An example, my stomach was gurgling like a tar pit. If my stomach was actually a tar pit, that would be very concerning. But it's gurgling like a tar pit. So it's not the literal meaning of that. It just means that it's digesting because tar pits are made of acid and things that bubble and they pull things in, and that's a lot of dinosaurs died because they were digested by tar pits, right? Well, the same thing happens in your stomach. It gurgles and it makes all these weird noises as it's digesting the food that you ate. So then the second one is, I'm as hungry as a ravenous wolf. If a wolf is ravenous, they're going to hunt down and eat anything they can get their hands on. I am 98% of the time hungry as a ravenous wolf because I love to eat and I'm going to eat whatever I can get my hands on. So that's comparing myself to that really, really hungry wolf, or comparing my stomach to that tar pit. It's doing kind of the same thing, but it's not actually that thing. Then I have metaphor. A metaphor is comparing two things without using like or as. You have to have context to know that there's a comparison. For an example, he has a T-Rex's bite. If I were talking about my dog and I said he had a T-Rex's bite, that's probably going to indicate that he has a really strong bite, strong enough to bite through bone. Because T-Rexes, they were scavengers and they would just eat whatever they could get their hands on, and they had really strong jaws to make up for their little tiny hands. All right, and then love is a rose. It can be thorny like a rose, but it's not actually a rose. It can be thorny, it can be beautiful, but it's not literally a rose. Then we have personification. Personification is when you describe something as though it were a person, aka giving human characteristics to non-human things. So the wind howled through the mountains. Winds can't actually howl. They're not living. However, they can blow and it can echo and make a howling-like sound, or it can just be blowing really hard. The car grumbled as I threw it into gear. My car grumbles on a daily basis just from being turned on. However, it's not really going, oh my gosh, I can't believe Miss Burdick, I just got in a car. I can't believe that she's like putting it in first. Why can't she get it in first? What's going on? No, my car just makes noises, right, as I'm shifting and getting into gear. Then we have hyperbole. Hyperbole is the greatest figurative language of all time. Or, in other words, it's an extreme exaggeration or an overstatement that expresses emphasis and importance. So, an example, I ate enough to feed 3 armies. I did not actually eat enough to feed 3 armies. However, I ate a lot, right? And that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make that point that I ate and I ate and I ate and I ate. And to me, it felt like enough to feed 3 armies. So that is a hyperbole. Another hyperbole is my fingers are so cold they could shatter. Unless you stick your fingers into liquid nitrogen, which don't do that, you can't shatter your fingers. They're not going to get that cold. They could feel as though they were, and I promise you that there are times where my hands have been so cold I thought that they were going to break and everything hurts more, but they didn't actually shatter. Then you have illusions. This is not illusions, which is like when you're seeing things or when you've got magic tricks. This is an allusion, which is a reference to movies or books or culture within a text. An example, you'd have to be Superman to lift that fallen tree. If you know who Superman is, you know he's super strong, right? Hence the name Superman. And they're just saying that in order to lift the tree, you need to be very, very inhumanly strong. Or you have a Gollum-like obsession with that stuffed animal. Gollum is this creepy character from Lord of the Rings who goes, my precious, about the ring, right? And so it's not saying like you are Gollum. It's saying that you're extremely possessive of your stuffed animal. And these only work if the people that you're talking to know the things that you're alluding to. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you are not going to be able to follow along with what I'm saying. And then a lot of mythology is used as allusions, and that's Greek gods, Norse gods, Roman gods. There are a lot of times they're used as allusions. The Bible is often alluded to. It's this idea of you look at these things that a lot of people will already know. All right, and finally, we are on my favorite one, which is onomatopoeia. It is only my favorite one because I love the word onomatopoeia, right? It's so much fun. So onomatopoeia are sound words. An example is I was walking down the street when wham, I ran into the pole at the front of the building. I am so clumsy that so many onomatopoeia words apply to me in my life. And then the second one was the bees were happily buzzing around the flowers. You hear that buzz part of it? That is an onomatopoeia. It is a sound word. It makes you almost visualize, almost be able to hear what's happening. So that is figurative language. And what you guys are going to do now is if you are in my class, you are going to go to Class Kick, click on the assignment labeled Figurative Language Practice, do the assignment, and then come back to campus and type done in the submit box. If you are in Miss Davis's class, I know that she's going to want you to download it into Cabinet, and then once it's in Cabinet, you're going to be able to annotate and write on it, and that is where you're going to put your answers, and then you will re-upload that assignment to this page. You guys are going to do great. Figurative language is a blast. I hope that you enjoy it, and I look forward to doing even more poetry with you because it is one of my favorite topics of all time. Okay, bye. So figurative language.